What if I told you that the difference between someone who dies broke and someone who dies a millionaire isn't luck, it isn't their salary, and it isn't even the family they were born into? It's a set of habits so simple that most people scroll right past them, looking for something more exciting. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what separates people who build real wealth from people who work their entire lives and still end up with nothing to show for it. Let's start with something that sounds almost too simple to matter. Pay yourself first. Most people get their paycheck, pay rent, pay the car note, pay the credit card, buy groceries, treat themselves a little because they deserve it. And then whatever's left over, if anything, goes into savings. That's backwards. The people who actually build wealth flip that order. The moment money hits their account, a chunk of it moves into savings or investments before they touch a single dollar for anything else. It doesn't have to be a huge amount, even 10% automated, so you never see it and never have the chance to talk yourself out of it, changes everything over time. You stop treating saving as what's left over and start treating it as a bill you owe yourself. Second, and this one stings a little, lifestyle creep is the silent killer of financial success. You get a raise, and within a month your rent goes up, your car gets nicer, you're eating out more, and somehow you have less breathing room than before the raise. This happens to doctors, engineers, and six-figure earners just as much as it happens to anyone else, because it has nothing to do with income and everything to do with habits. The people who actually build wealth keep their expenses roughly flat, even as their income rises, and they let the gap between what they earn and what they spend do the heavy lifting. That gap, not your salary, is the real engine of wealth. Third, build an emergency fund before you do anything else exciting with your money. 3 to 6 months of basic expenses, sitting in a boring, easily accessible savings account. I know it's not glamorous, it's not going to make you rich. But here's what it does. It buys you options. Without it, one car repair, one medical bill, one layoff, and you're reaching for a credit card at 20% interest. And now you're not building wealth, you're digging out of a hole. People with emergency funds can take a bad month at work and shrug it off. People without one are one bad month away from a financial spiral that takes years to recover from. Fourth, understand the difference between good debt and bad debt, because not all debt is created equal. A mortgage on a home you can afford, a student loan for a degree that clearly increases your earning power, a small business loan for a plan that actually pencils out. That's debt working for you. Credit card debt on things that lost their value the moment you bought them. That's debt working against you. And it's working against you fast, because the interest rate on most credit cards is higher than almost any investment return you're realistically going to get. If you're carrying high-interest debt, paying that down is often the single highest return move available to you, better than almost any stock pick. Fifth, and this is where most people get intimidated and check out, start investing and start now, even with small amounts. The reason isn't magic, it's math. It's called compound growth, and the earlier you start, the less work your money has to do because time is doing the heavy lifting for you. Someone who invests a modest amount in their 20s and then stops will, almost every single time, end up with more money at retirement than someone who invests twice as much starting in their 40s. You don't need to pick winning stocks or time the market. A simple, low-cost index fund inside a retirement account like a 401k or an IRA in the US or an RRSP and TFSA in Canada will outperform most people trying to get clever. Sixth, build more than one stream of income. This doesn't mean quitting your job to chase some overnight scheme. It means recognizing that relying entirely on one paycheck from one employer is one of the riskiest financial positions you can be in, even if it doesn't feel risky day to day. A side skill you can freelance, a small rental property, dividend-paying investments, a little business on the side. These things don't just add extra income, they add a layer of protection. If one stream dries up, you're not starting from zero. 7th, protect your credit score like it's an asset, because it is one. Your credit score determines the interest rate you'll pay on a mortgage, a car loan, sometimes even the deposit an apartment asks for, or the rate an insurance company charges you. A strong credit score can save you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime just in lower interest payments. That means paying bills on time, every time, keeping your credit utilization low, and not closing your oldest credit accounts just because you stopped using them. 8th, get financial education from real sources, not from whoever's shouting the loudest online. Most people were never taught how money actually works, not in school, not at home, and that gap gets filled by whoever's easiest to find, which is usually someone selling a course, a coin, or a guaranteed strategy. Real financial literacy is not exciting. It's understanding how interest works, what a fee actually costs you over 30 years, why diversification matters, and why anyone promising guaranteed high returns with no risk is, without exception, lying to you. Read one solid book on personal finance a year, and you will already know more than most adults around you. 9th, surround yourself with people who think long-term about money. This one gets overlooked constantly, but your financial habits are shaped enormously by the people you spend the most time with. If everyone around you treats spending as the reward for working hard, you'll feel constant pressure to keep up. If the people around you talk about investing, about goals, about building something, that becomes normal to you too. You don't need to lecture your friends or change your whole social circle overnight, but pay attention to whose financial habits you're absorbing, because you are absorbing someone's. 10th, and this might be the hardest one, be patient and think in decades, not months. Wealth building is boring, it's unglamorous, it's automatic transfers, index funds, paying down debt, and showing up the same way month after month for years, while nothing dramatic seems to happen. Then, one day, you look up, and the boring habit has quietly turned into a number that changes your life. The people who fail at this usually don't fail because they made one big mistake. They fail because they got impatient, chased something flashy that promised faster results, and blew up years of quiet progress in a single bad decision. The people who succeed aren't smarter, and they're usually not luckier. They're just still doing the boring thing 5, 10, 20 years later, while everyone else gave up or got distracted. None of these 10 secrets are complicated, and that's exactly the point. Financial success isn't hiding behind some secret formula only a few people know. It's hiding in plain sight, in habits that are simple enough to start today and boring enough that most people never stick with them long enough to see the results. The gap between where you are and real financial freedom isn't knowledge. At this point, you have the knowledge. The gap is consistency. Pick one of these 10, start it this week, and let time do what it does best.